Welcome back. House Speaker Paul Ryan speaking out this past week on the way forward on the Republican agenda. He said any delay on health care will not jeopardize the GOP plan for tax reform. Let's bring in Grover Norquist, president of Americans for Tax Reform. And Grover, you've said before many times when I've been with you that you do believe they will get some kind of tax cuts done this year, as well as some reform.
Yeah, and I think that Speaker Ryan is saying the same thing. We both spoke together in Wisconsin on Friday, and the Speaker's making it clear and the President's making it clear that we're going to do tax reform this year or tax reduction this year. And taking the corporate rate from 35 to 15 should be understood not simply as a tax cut, which it is, but it's also fundamental tax reform, because if the corporate rate is not 15, highest in the world, not 35, highest in the world, but down to 15, one of the lower rates in the world, then we don't have a lot of our international trade problems. It is reform. It solves many of our international trade problems.
But Grover, I mean, let's talk about when Americans are going to be really feeling the impact here, because obviously this agenda has taken longer than people wanted. They wanted to do health care first. A lot of people said that was a mistake. We should have done tax reform first. That's what the president campaigned on. That's what the American people believe will move the needle on economic growth and job creation. So do you think that they'll get tax reform done toward the end of this year? And if so, do you believe that it will be retroactive to January 17? Because I have some doubts that if they get something done in November 17, they're going to say, okay, let's take this back and be retroactive to the beginning of 17. That's a lot of revenue they could be actually saving if they begin it in 18. So I'm a little skeptical that this is retroactive. What do you say?
I think it's certainly going to be moving forward immediately, that the corporate rate down, the individual rates down, the doubling of the personal exemption will take place immediately. I had hoped that they would have said 5 months ago, whatever we do will be retroactive for 2017. They didn't do that, and because they didn't, I think you're probably right that we're looking at tax cuts that are forward-looking only. But as soon as you take the corporate rate to 15, you will see tremendous changes in investment. All of that lovely money overseas, the $2 to $3 trillion, will flow back to the United States this year. It is really going to spike economic growth. And one of the reasons you can be pretty sure that the Republicans are going to do something very bold, as Trump has put forward, is that if they want to maintain the House of Representatives in the 2018 elections, they need to be able to demonstrate not just progress on regulations and some of these other issues, which are very good, but dramatic, undeniable growth in jobs and GDP. And that will flow from taking the corporate rate down, the individual rates down, and allowing all that lovely American-earned money overseas to be brought back to the United States.
What about this whole conversation taking place right now about no tax cuts for the rich? Taxes actually may go up for the highest earners, and now, you know, there's even some conversation that the middle class, some middle-class families will see taxes go up. So tell us where you sit and what you see happening here, because we're all talking about tax cuts, and yet the administration is being somewhat coy when it comes to all rates.
Okay. There was a assertion that Bannon, who's one of the White House staffers, had said maybe we should raise the top rate. That would certainly be one of the dumber ideas in recent 1,000 years of Western civilization. It is entirely possible that he never said that, and that was a misattributed quotation. Certainly Mnuchin has said that he's never heard that said. I think it's one of those things that if it was a passing thought somewhere, it was a very silly passing thought, and rather than knock it down, people have ignored it as if it never happened. Maybe it did never happen, which would make me feel much more comfortable. But none of the grown-ups at the White House or in the House or in the Senate have said anything to give any credence to the idea that somebody was going to try and be clever and play class warfare politics by a Republican administration, not very bright.
But is there a push and pull within the White House where some people, in terms of the president's advisors, are saying, look, you don't want this tax reform package to look like you're actually cutting taxes for the wealthiest out there. You'll get criticized. He's under fire for that perception right now. So do you think that there is going to be any change in terms of the thinking that was on display during the campaign, that he would lower taxes for all Americans?
Look, sometimes there's some arguments inside the White House about Paris in or out. On this issue, when you talk to the White House, and the president has been very, very clear, tax rates are coming down for all businesses, exactly, all people. I mean, the president may sometimes go back and forth on some things. On this issue, he has been emphatic, repetitive, clear. And even when you thought maybe he'd back off, that he comes, no, let me make it clear. Let me reiterate.
Yes,
if you're not hearing, rates are coming down. And he is in love with the number 15 rather than 35 for corporate rates and for pass-throughs for smaller businesses like partnerships and subchapter S corporations.
That's going to be a big deal, 15% on those pass-throughs and small businesses. But I can't imagine he's getting 15% on a corporate tax rate because, you know, the House plan is all the way up at 25.
I would bet large quantities of money that the president will win on 15, and the argument will be as follows. We need strong, dramatic growth now in the next year, for not only for political reasons in order to win the 2018 election, but to turn the growth that we have seen. There have been some good job numbers, but they should be double that. They should be double those numbers.
We had a terrible GDP out a week ago, but listen, you're saying you're going to be betting big quantities of money? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to watch that one, Grover. That
big was quantities for me.
Big bet there that you're making. Grover Norquist, always a pleasure, sir. Thanks so much.
Sure.
We'll see you soon. Just a few weeks ago, until the August recess, is time running out to get health care and tax reform done? Coming up, I'll talk to one Republican congressman who says the only way to push through the president's agenda is to cancel the August break. Do you hear that, colleagues? As we're looking ahead on Sunday Morning Futures, stay with us. We'll be right back.